guys again. We are starting 2025 off later than we typically do.
Yeah.
But we are here. We are here. We are ready. And we're going to start off, as we always do, with a review from one of you. This is from Angie, Oklahoma, 77 exclamation point. It says, beyond thankful that God allowed this podcast to come across my path after suffering a devastating blow to my 23-year marriage. Brad and Lisa offer the one thing I needed, hope. I didn't feel so alone when hearing their story, and I'm comforted by their transparency and love for Jesus. Every episode is a reminder that with the Lord, my husband and I can take these ashes and God will make beauty from it. Thank you, Brad and Lisa, for your ministry. I pray God blesses you abundantly.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much for that review. I don't even think you guys realize how much that has an impact on us, and also that it helps other people to find us, other people who are feeling hopeless and frustrated, and we can point them to the one who really is truly hope, Jesus. So thank you for the review. We appreciate it so much. And I want to publicly right now blame you for our late start this year.
You know, when you point fingers, there's three pointing back at you.
I didn't point. I said publicly.
That's like a metaphorical point.
Okay. Yep. We're going to get all sorts of analytical today, apparently. No, we did have a lot actually just kind of going on in this season. And so we wanted to make sure that we paid attention to all of the aspects of life that were going on. But then we also had a marriage event recently, and we wanted to make sure that we put a lot of time, effort, preparation into that. And so we just recently had that.
Yes, we did. And
you want to explain what our lovely event was all about?
I do.
Oh, well, perfect. I just feel like you are on fire right now.
Did you see my coffee mug?
I didn't realize that was the coffee mug.
If you're on YouTube.
That you brought.
But if not, my coffee mug says so fire.
Yes, and it's accurate. You're so fire.
I know. That's why I have this coffee mug.
Okay. I feel like we need to focus now. Okay, yeah. So explain our event.
So we had an event. Yeah, no, we had the honor of doing a February 14th marriage event,
which is a,
Valentine's
Day. That's like the love day.
Or like they say it around here, like you always hear it, Valentine's.
You do hear that a lot. So I don't understand it.
I know. You're not three.
And I mean, if you've been listening to us for any period of time, like we're so pathetic about this day.
Yeah. I didn't do anything for you. I mean, I spoke.
You didn't even say Happy Valentine's Day to me. Mm-hmm. I didn't say it to you either.
No, I know you didn't.
But it's like we're awful about this day. And I know we're awful about it because here's the problem. Like our kids, as they've gotten older and stuff.
They're like, whatever.
Like their friends and stuff, or like even in like the dating world and stuff like that. They're like, you really like, you didn't prepare me for this at all. Like, I'm just like, no, what are you worried about? Like, it's just a regular day. Like, you're supposed to love each other every day.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm just like,
exactly.
Sorry, I'm not falling for the commercialism. Yeah. And then, here it's like a big deal.
You
and
want
all
some
these
candy? We'll go get candy.
But then I'm also like, no, I'm not getting you candy. Like, give me a break. It's twice as expensive right now.
Exactly.
Or I would be like to Brad, just like, no, don't buy me flowers on Valentine's Day. Like they're charging you 3 times as much for the same flowers. Are going to be on sale next week. And
so I wait till next week. Get a deal.
I mean, I always told you, it's not that I didn't like flowers, but I wanted it to be because you just genuinely were thinking of me.
Here's the deal though. Let's be honest. Flowers or a good meal out?
Good meal out every day.
All day.
Every day.
I mean, I'm a guy, so I don't care about flowers, but I'm just saying, like,
there could be a guy out here who's just like, if my wife would just bring me flowers.
I'm a non-flower guy. Is that better?
Okay, sure.
So I don't want to make someone like, well, am I not a guy that I like flowers? I'm not
okay, you're just a non-flower guy. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Noted.
Yeah.
I'm more of a woodsy guy. Chop wood and whatnot.
Yeah. Give me a cord of wood for Valentine's Day.
Brisket.
Yeah, meat. That's good. So we got to do this event, and we were brainstorming on what to call it with some close friends of ours at another event that we were at, which is kind of funny. I mean, we weren't ignoring the other event. It was like during, talkie time. Yeah. So,
talkie time?
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
So, and we're trying to figure out, what do we call it? Like love this, because it's like the Valentine, theme.
High pressure.
Yeah. February 14th, like got to come up with something. And so I came up with Keep It Simple, Stupid. KISS, right? KISS acronym. And immediately Stupid was shot down.
For a good reason.
Immediately.
We're not trying to encourage any spouse to just be throwing that out there at their spouse all the time.
Yeah. Didn't you hear Brian and Lisa? They said stupid. Right?
No.
So that got shot down, but one of our friends jumped in and was like, what about Keep It Simple, Sweetie?
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, that's great.
That works.
Yeah. Works great. It even works with the candy, right? Because those little hearts are called Sweeties.
They were on the table, KISS.
No, well, the Hershey Kisses were, but aren't there hearts called Sweeties or candies?
I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't think they're called Smart. No, not Smarties. I don't know. It's irrelevant.
I feel like that could have been another play that we overlooked. But anyway.
Okay. Too late now.
Yeah, way too late. KISS event part 2.
Yes. Also, if we have the right name, that would help in landing the plane there.
Yeah. Someone knows it. They know exactly what I'm talking about. So it was Keep It Simple, Sweetie. And the whole premise behind it is when marriages, good marriages and or marriages that are struggling, the biggest thing is just to keep it simple. We're done with the podcast. You can turn it off now. Yeah. That's right?
Add the sweetie because that helps.
No, but it was just to keep it simple. And the biggest thing behind that is once you start to search for something, right? I'm going to search for, how do I strengthen my marriage? How do I recover from this, right? I found my wife did this. My husband did this. You start searching for those things and you hit enter and you get
information overload.
Plethora of just lists, right? Yeah. One side after the other. Some are great, phenomenal places to go to. Some are not, right? Some are, angry, betrayed spouse and just hates everything now. And they're going to give all that kind of advice. And, it's just so many options.
Yeah. Or think about it in a really simple way. Cause I think everyone does this, right? I have this weird spot on my skin and you Google it and then it's I'm dying.
Listen, I try not to do that. I've fallen for that.
I've fallen?
Yeah. I'll have something weird and I'm I'm just going to Google it and see. And then next thing I know, I'm there's no way that I have 3 weeks to live. Right? There's no way.
Just snorted. It's just on record now that I just snorted. It's straight to 3 weeks. I've got 3 weeks. There's no in between.
Let's go buy that truck that I've always wanted. I only got 3 weeks.
I how that's your thing. If you had 3 weeks to live, you would like to go buy the truck?
Then we could go
go where?
Travel with the truck. I don't know.
We get on a plane, okay? Because we got further to go than just someplace you can drive. 3 weeks left. Guess I can finally get that truck I've always wanted. This is not a good way to go out.
No.
Leave me with the debt,
No, we give it back before.
That's not the way this works.
Figure it out.
Anyway,
it would only be in my name, so then just
none of this is working.
Oh,
anyways, information overload. When you get on there's so many things.
So many.
Worst case scenario, best case scenario, somewhere in between, good, bad.
Our podcast on there.
Yeah.
Our sites on there. You just get so many things, but it's hard to figure out what to do. And options are great. I want I want options.
Yeah.
But I'm sure, as a lot of you know, when you're trying to look for a movie to watch, right, on a streaming channel, and you're like, what should I watch? And there's all these options, and all of a sudden you don't watch anything.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like that. There's in like law enforcement world, there's decision fatigue, but it really, permeates through any field and or, society, period. Right. But specifically, this came up because of law enforcement, because studies were finding that, there was police officers or first responders, the realm, right, that didn't act when they could have, and they couldn't figure out why, right? Like why we've given them all these tools. Why didn't they use one, or why did they choose the wrong one?
Yeah. Like
what's the deal, right? And the reason that even came up is because a lot of police officers were getting hurt because of that, right? Like either losing lives or, getting seriously injured because they weren't making a decision, right? And so then, it's like when I first got in, I'm not a cop, but pseudo-ish, right? So when I first got in and they gave me my belt, it's like the Batman belt, right? Like they give you this belt, and there was 2 options on there to enforce what I needed to enforce. One was a gun, and the other one was a baton. That was it, right? I know I sound super old saying that right now, but that's what it was. It was just like 2 options. That was it.
Why does that make you sound old?
Because now when you first get in, I mean, you legitimately have a Batman belt. Like it is like
fully loaded.
Every single option's on there that you could ever think of using.
So they've changed how they.
Yeah. And then here's a vest, and your vest has everything else on there. It gets kind of crazy, right? That's what I'm getting at, is when I first got in, there was 2 options. So then they were like, go do your job, right? So you go do your job and you do it well.
You train with just those 2 options.
Yeah. And that's all you had. So that's what you dealt with. And then, a couple years or so pass, and then they hand you another item to put on your belt, right? For me, it was OC spray or pepper spray, mace, whatever. And so then that was my 3rd option. So now I had some more options. Anything that came my way, like, okay, I got a lesser option than the other 2.
Yeah.
Right? It still hurts. If you've never been sprayed with that, do it, just so you know how it feels.
Do it?
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
You should.
That is a dude thing to say.
You should 100%. If you're going to carry it, you should 100% like get a little whiff of that thing.
Okay.
So you know.
I'm just telling you right now, I would have no desire.
Listen, if you carried it, right? Here's the deal. I'm just going to be honest right now. I would make you get sprayed with it. You would make me
get sprayed with it?
Yes. Do you want to know why? Can you even think of why?
So that it doesn't shock me if I did get sprayed with it, like accidentally. Like if I'm spraying it to someone else, like I'm inevitably going to get some on me.
You will get a little bit for sure, but it's more of if someone gets it and sprays you. Yeah. And then now like, okay, I know what I could do when I get sprayed.
I think I would just rather just deal with the consequences then.
That's...
No one's going to get my spray. I know, I just disappointed you. That's just a man thing to say, like, hey, yeah, if you have this, definitely spray yourself with it first.
Well, I mean, you need to get a taste of it.
Why?
So you know. Okay. I'm just saying. So anyway, they gave me that, and then, years passed, and then they gave me a taser, and so now I have all these things on my belt. Go do your job. Go do the same job you've been doing.
Right.
Go do your job. And so like these police officers, same thing. Go look at a cop right now.
Yeah, so many.
I mean, look at the belt and what they have on. Like there's so many things they have, and they all have a purpose.
Right.
Every single thing they wear, well, I hope so, has a purpose. Like if you're a cop and you have something on and there's no purpose to it, take it off.
Yeah.
Like that just hurts. like that, you know, ounces equals pounds,
Yeah.
right? Like it gets bad fast. But with decision fatigue, with police officers, there's this thing that's called an OODA loop, right? And I know it sounds
Like a
funny,
kindergarten
like
show?
you're about to laugh as I'm saying it.
OODA loop, OODA loop.
Well, now you know, right? So that's gonna go in your head.
I'll remember.
That'll be in your head while you're actually doing what your OODA loop's supposed to do. So some doctor came
Dr.
up with this,
OODA.
or a bunch of doctors, I don't know, but it's an actual thing that humans do all the time, every day. You've done this right now. You're doing it right now. What it stands for is observe, orientate, decide, and act. And it's a loop because it's just a constant circle and just keeps going on and on. You want to take a drink of something, right? I'm observing the glass. I'm grabbing the glass. I'm orientating to the glass. I'm grabbing the glass. I'm drinking, right? So I'm deciding I'm going to grab it, then I drink it. So I'm just always observing, orientating, deciding, and acting. Like it's just a constant thing. And with decision fatigue, that slows the OODA loop way down. And in police world, when the OODA loop gets slowed way down, bad things happen. Right? Bad things happen to the police officer themselves, third party, their partner,
Yeah.
right? Even the guy they're dealing with, right?
Right.
Like just bad things that shouldn't happen because their OODA loop slows way down,
Yeah.
and decision making becomes slow.
Or do one of those steps even get skipped altogether?
Yeah, and if one of those steps gets skipped, it resets,
Interesting.
and so then it's just like you're stuck at observe. Think about this is a perfect example actually. When you see people when something horrible happens, right, and you see people go into shock, and they just stand there.
Yeah.
You know, or like you're watching a movie and something bad's happening, and there's people just standing there like, why are you standing there?
Like, run, get out of there.
Run.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're stuck on observe. Like
Yeah.
their OODA's broken and they're just stuck there. It just keeps resetting.
Don't break your
their-
OODA.
Yeah. OODA. I don't know why I said that. It just sounded like you should say it like that. I don't know. But they're stuck at one piece,
Yeah.
right? And so decision fatigue does the same thing. It sticks you at one piece and you either make a bad decision or you get paralyzed in what's going on.
Yeah. No decision.
No decision. So I'm getting at that because I hope people that are listening are like, well, yeah, but, and I'm like, yeah, think of your marriage, right? This is where all those options start to hurt you.
Right.
Because you're grabbing everything you can, because in crisis, that's what we do, right? It doesn't matter, good, bad, ugly, whatever. In crisis, we grab and just pull everything we can because we're trying to grasp for you know, making sense of what's going on. How can I help?
Yeah.
Right? How can I do all these things? So we're like grasping for everything. You can even think about it this way, you know, because January came, it's gone. But, you know, everyone always, like, what's the classic New Year's resolution?
Lose weight.
Lose weight. Classic, right? I mean, I would like to take a poll, like an actual poll, to see how many people that's their thing. It's the classic one, right? I want to lose weight. New year, new me, like, gonna lose weight. And then we live in a society that wants everything instantly. Like I like to say, it's like the microwave society, right?
Yeah.
Like instant. And so then you Google, which is super unhealthy to do this, but you Google like, I'm going to lose 10 pounds in 10 days, which is ridiculous, first of all. So don't do that. but say you did that. So then you're going to think of all the information you're going to get. And some information is going to say, there's going to be some in there that are like, that's unattainable. That's not healthy.
Not a healthy way to lose weight.
Not a healthy way to lose weight. This is what you should do. There will be a lot of that. But then there's going to be, you know,
one promise.
This one guy, you know, he'll get on there and he'll be like, you know, I just picture like the super intense guy that you see on Instagram that eats only off cutting boards. You know, have you seen like they have like steaks and eggs on a cutting board? That's what they use for plates. Like, come on, like stop Instagramming everything, right? Like, I know you don't just eat on a cutting board.
What
It's
did they
ridiculous.
do?
No, they don't. I'm telling you now, everyone out there that's listening, like you're going to see it. You're going to see like some dude, he's going to be ripped, like eat this all day, and it's like 5 steaks and,
Is that
20
how he
eggs.
talks to?
Yeah, and it's on a cutting board, you know, and he probably won't even have utensils. He's just grabbing with his hands. Like it's weird. So anyway, you'll get that guy, and he'll say, you know, you can eat, 3 eggs a day, drink only water, and be in the gym for 12 hours, and you'll lose 10 pounds in days, you know, and you're like, I don't think I could. The eggs and steaks sound great.
I gotta work. I gotta take care of kids.
A life. Yeah. I'm not just an Instagram dude, right? I have a life, right? So I can't do that. So then you go to the next one. Next one's like, just drink water for 10 days. You don't have to do anything else. Just do that. 10-day fast, only water. I mean,
it probably would work. Wouldn't recommend it.
It might work. We did a 4-day to
bone broth fast.
Spiritual, physical reset, all these things. And by day 3, all I wanted to do was chew something. I just wanted to put something in my mouth and chew it. Yeah. I was so like, oh my gosh, like I need food, right? That's what fasting is all about anyway. So then you're like, I'm not just going to drink water and do nothing. Like I love food. That's why I'm in the predicament I'm in, right? So then you go to the next one, and next one's like, the guy's like, you can eat whatever you want. So you're like, all right, I'm down. And then he's like, but you got to go to the gym for, 13 hours a day and run, 12 miles, and so it's that's unattainable too. And so you're grasping all these little concepts through here. And then you try to implement
the ones that you want, mind you.
The ones you want, exactly.
Yeah,
the ones that sound good, the ones you want. And what ends up happening is it comes down to it, and you don't use anything. And then March comes around and you haven't budged on your goal, right? And that's kind of a lighthearted way to explain, like with the losing weight stuff and all that. But with marriage, decision fatigue, breaking the OODA loop, it's a real thing. And when you grasp so many things that you try to use, when you go to use it, one, you're probably not going to use it right, and there's no technique, right? Like I say use it, but there's no like, let me use this Jedi mind trick on my wife right now, and then everything's going to be great. Like you can't.
Have you Jedi mind tricked me before?
No, clearly. Are you serious? Like think about our day. Like if anything, you're doing it to me. Okay. So think about our normal day in, day out. Like for sure you do it to me. Yeah. But that's what happens. You have so many things, and when you're like, okay, I think my wife's mad, and it's probably something I did, so I'm going to try, like, should I do this? And if I say this, she's going to do this, so then I could do this. And then it's just this weird chess game, and then it's inaction that happens. Yeah. And then when inaction happens, you're just stuck the same place. And decision fatigue is real in marriage. It's real in parenting. Yeah. Like think about all the times as a parent out there that your decision fatigue is when you're just like, I don't, have another cookie. I don't even care. Right? Like go to town in the pantry, whatever.
Knock yourself out, kid.
Yeah. Like I'm done. Right? Like we've all been in that spot, right? Where you're just like, I'm done. I'm not.
I don't have the energy in me to
like
have this fight again.
It's been a long day. Like, you win, go do whatever. Right? It's not good, but it's very real. Yeah. It's very real. And that happens with spouses too, where it's like, the same arguments brought up again. Yeah. Both parties' fault. Mm-hmm. No, it's not just one sided. Both parties' fault, but the same argument happens again. And one party's like, you know what? I'm not doing this. Mm-hmm. I can't. It's the same thing over and over.
Well, it can even be one person who's always bringing it up, but then the other person. I mean,
they're at fault for always bringing it up. The other one's at fault for doing
never.
X.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm saying. They're all
right.
Right. If you're in your marriage and you think you're blameless, like,
you're not.
You're not. Right. You might not be as.
We always say, like, if you think you're winning, you're both losing
in a fight.
Yes.
Because I feel like we're winning.
No, but like if you are in it. Sometimes I just can't, especially since you're drinking out of your fire cup at the same time. Anyways, well, and to play that like full circle out, even if you think about the first responder world, right? And then you're grabbing at everything and you're trying to use it all. And if you have all of those various tools
Yeah.
and you have them all in your hand at once, then you are incapable of using any of them. They become ineffective.
Yep.
And for sure in an argument, for sure, when you are exhausted, right? And that's because that happens too. You're just physically tired, and then someone's bringing something up, and then all of a sudden it's just like, I've got literally nothing left for you.
Yeah.
Like I am OODA out.
Yeah, I could 100%. That's what I'm saying. 100%. So the event.
We're just giving someone like some sort of weird saying that they're going to say to their spouse now, and they're going to be like, "What are you talking?"
And be like, "Well, you should have heard the latest pod. Like that's what they're talking about."
Stay up on the OODA.
So the event, we just wanted to make it very simple to just take a step in the right direction, right? Whatever step that individual couple needed. Mm-hmm. So we didn't even have steps laid out.
Yeah.
I think you maybe thrown out some examples. I can't remember now. I know I did on a couple things, but it was really
examples, but we didn't.
But we just wanted to throw it to them and be like, with what we've just talked about, we want you guys to come up with a step. Mm-hmm. And I think that'll be a challenge for today. Yeah. For sure. Excuse me, I don't know where I came from. My coffee, for sure, right?
Yeah.
I think that'll be a challenge for today. But we broke down KISS into kindness, intimacy, sacred, and sacrifice. Sacredness.
Yeah.
And sacrifice.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what we did.
I like how you're looking at me the whole time.
I like how you looked at me like, is he going to get it right the whole time? That's exactly what your face was.
Yes.
And I didn't get it right.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, I think what I loved so much that you had talked about in the beginning when we first started talking about this, and we were talking about the aspects of keeping it simple, sweetie. Mm-hmm. And you were like, well, just because it's simple doesn't mean it's easy.
No.
And I think that's really, for someone listening today, like profoundly something that's so true, because I think that is a common misconception. Like when we think like, keep it simple, or here's a simple step. It's like, oh, if it's simple, then it's easy.
Yeah. I mean, let's literally go back to, the examples we gave, right? If you want to lose weight, right, then what do? Yeah. You eat less.
Yeah. Eat less, right? Eat better.
Yeah. Then
work out, the whole thing.
But I mean, honestly, break it way, way down. You want to lose weight? You put yourself in a caloric deficit. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Simple.
That's it. You don't even have to lift weights. You don't have to go work out. That is
go on a water fast for
10
days.
That is literally it. A caloric deficit.
Yeah.
And you'll weigh less, right? Yeah, that's a very simple, right? I know there's a lot of, physiology,
don't get mad at us. We're trying to break it down.
And everything to that, but really the answer is very simple, right? Eat less, weigh less. Mm-hmm. Eat more, weigh more. Well, it's not easy.
No.
Right? It's not easy to do that. So a very simple answer, just not easy to do, to act on.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe a couple times, and then all of a sudden you're like, this is getting hard. It's the same thing. And that's what, so, in all these categories, it was just literally we're not talking about easy at all. Mm-mm. We're just saying, break this down, boil it down to the foundation, and just take a step, a very simple step in that direction.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's so good to clarify, because the reality is that easy things very rarely get us the results that we want. Mm-hmm. It's always, not that it can't be okay, well, this is a simple step I need to take, right? But the reality is that the difficulty in the process of taking simple steps is what gets us to where we ultimately
and I will say that it gets easier.
Yeah.
But it's not easy, right? So the more you practice, and I mean, we can talk about them, but the more you practice a thing, the easier it becomes, right? Yeah. The more that I decide that I'm going to, take a day out of the week to fast, right? The more I make that decision to do that, not saying that during that day, I'm not going to be like, I want some food, or that it's going to be super easy, but it's going to get easier.
Yeah.
The next week and the next week. The more I make that a habit, it's just going to become this thing where it's like, this is what I do today.
Yeah. And I think it's like also recognizing the reason I think it gets more simple is the wins that you see, right?
Yeah.
When you get a chance to say like, oh, that simple step did lead me somewhere where I ultimately wanted to go, right? I mean, that's typically what happens even when you are bringing it back to like a weight loss analogy, right? It's I did actually see some difference in the way my clothes are fitting, right? Oh, I do actually feel better. It's those little wins that help you to keep going.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the same thing when it comes to like our relationship simple steps is like when you start to see that, oh, this is actually changing the way that I'm looking at my marriage, right? Oh, this is changing the dynamic of our difficult conversations. Then once you see that, it gives you courage to keep taking the next step. And I think that's a big deal to recognize the little wins along the way because you need it for the courage. Yeah.
So I think what we want to do is, do you want me to, yeah, you do? You want me to,
I do, baby.
You want me just to turn it off? Is that what?
Okay.
Like what you assumed of what I was going to say.
And no. I'm right. I am correct.
So we wanted to go over one of the letters, right? I think we've kind of killed kindness and, well, that sounds horrible.
I hope we didn't kill kindness. Yeah. So we brought kindness back.
That sounds horrible. I meant like, we've gone over that before. Yes. I'm thinking.
Definitely we want to touch, I think we can touch on it as far as we really dived into the communication side of it. And I think that'll be good.
Actually, you read more than me. Maybe that's a valid usage of that word. So I don't know.
That's okay. I'm just keeping score over here.
Yeah, I know you are. OODA out. So no, but not me, the letter I, right?
In the KISS
acronym.
In
the KISS acronym. So Lisa divvied out the letters. You did. I know.
Did I deny it?
No, you didn't. But you kind of gave me like a shock face when I talked about it before. But you did divvy out the letters to me.
By divvy out, we had a conversation about it.
And you said, I'll take this one.
No, I said, I think that intimacy would be good for you to do. You had your chance.
So anyway, she made me do intimacy, which is fine, but it's weird, right? Like think about a marriage event, right? Like couples, usually the intimacy, if they're going to talk about it, first of all, if it's even brought up, is brought up by the lady.
We never do things the way everybody else does it.
I know. I absolutely understand that.
And I would say I think it was far more impactful that conversation came from you.
Yeah.
So
there you go. I knew you were right. I wasn't even. That wasn't part of the discussion.
Never question me divvying things out again.
So no, we went over intimacy, and I think the misconception with intimacy. So of course, we brought in Bible verses, and went over that. And I wasn't prepared today to share that Genesis 2.
But the two shall become one flesh?
Yeah, but is it Genesis 2?
I believe so, yes.
Anyway, so when God is talking about, marriage, right? Like the first marriage, two shall become one flesh, right? A man shall leave his family, cleave to his wife.
Leave and cleave.
Two shall become one flesh. And that is... it's a beautiful scripture. And I always grew up, because I'm a dude, right? So every time I read that, I was like, physical intimacy right there. Like God's like, do it.
Like, this is why I get married.
Yeah.
Right
one
here.
Flesh, boom, right there, do it, right? And I think that that's what a lot of people see, right? Especially on the male perspective.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not saying everybody, I'm just saying a lot. That's just kind of what goes on. And so when I was diving into this intimacy, when I'm really looking at it and looking at that scripture, really when you break it down, it's all three levels of intimacy. Mm-hmm. Pause. I didn't know there was three levels of intimacy, but like all three levels of intimacy.
Is this like your inner Brad?
Yeah. Like, wait, what a minute. There's three levels. Yeah. So dumb. But they're, spiritual intimacy, emotional, and physical. And of course, spiritual intimacy, like that is, how many times have we said it, and how many times have we said it to people we're coaching and when we're on other platforms or whatever, the first thing we say is like, you need to get right. You need to walk with Jesus. Yeah. You do.
Your individual
relationship with Jesus needs to be there, right? Mm-hmm. You need to have that. So it starts with that 100%.
Unequivocally.
With that though, it is an individual thing. And then it becomes both of you. Right. And so and really physical, like, do we really have to like dive into physical intimacy? Right. Like we all know what it is.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's
and
good
we
to
have
dive
a couple
into
of episodes directly on even like physical connection and intimacy.
And we do.
And
absolutely.
So go back and listen to those.
The emotional intimacy, that thing it's paramount, right? It's something that will bring spiritual intimacy. It'll bring, it's funny because spiritual intimacy and emotional intimacy, I think they both feed off each other.
I agree.
100%. Because if you can get that spiritual intimacy, you'll have that emotional, Yeah.
It feeds into one.
It feeds into one each other. But physical, without the other two, the physical is just
sex.
Literally physical. Yeah. And that's all it is. And that's when it's not what God intended. Yeah. Right. That's when it's not fulfilling in a marriage. That's, all the bad things that you can think of in a marriage with sex. That's what happens. You're missing.
When you're looking at that as, especially from a selfish perspective, that's when it gets.
You're missing those other portions of intimacy.
Yeah.
So emotional intimacy though, women, I think in general have it. Right. Like that's
usually more typically. Yeah.
That's just kind of like, it's like natural.
Or they desire that for sure, like the most.
Yeah. And usually men desire the physical the most.
Yeah.
Right. Usually I say this because I've met people that aren't like that. But I really dove into emotional intimacy because I think it's so important for us you want your marriage to grow. You want your communication to get better. You want all those things. You have to, as a man, open up emotionally. This is kind of funny, but I think that's more vulnerable for a man, right, than physical intimacy. I really think that. I really, really do. And it's funny because how we said emotional and spiritual tie into each other so tightly, because someone that has trouble being emotionally vulnerable, they're going to have trouble with spiritual intimacy too. They're going to have trouble with that, like that, like letting that out, right, and sharing that. They'll have a lot of trouble with that. And so then you have a guy that could usually men can just, run around naked, right, in their house and they're fine. There ain't no your kids aren't around, right? Like just run around naked. You're all right. Like there's no like shame in that game, right? It's like, yeah, this is fine. Like that. But for a woman, it's like a vulnerable area, right? And for a guy, it's kind of different. But emotionally, that dude, like he needs to share, like,
bear himself in another way, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. Like really just whatever it is, but just to share on that deeper level other than just the surface level intimacy. Yeah. Right. Or surface level emotions.
Yeah. Well, I think too, it's so often correlated that if a man is deemed emotional, like it's a weakness, but I think like for women, especially, like there's such a safety when our husbands are vulnerable with us, when they are willing to share, when they are willing to open up about what they feel and don't get defensive, don't withdraw, don't, just do all of like, I would say like typical behaviors that happen when we don't want to have emotional intimacy. And then what's awesome about it is it goes like this full circle picture into you having great physical intimacy, right? You having like they really do all tie together but I really do believe it does absolutely, like the emotional piece of it is so huge. And I know when you are soft in that way with me, I know that it's like a special thing within our marriage. And that's important to me. Like that intimacy is for you and I, that we can bear one another up.
Yeah. And it doesn't make you weak at all.
No,
at all. It really doesn't. It's, I know guys think that. I mean, it's funny because like you take a dude that, you know, I kind of look at it like this, like when we've had, you know, a lot of my like team guys around, and then there's all these little kids running around. Like you'll see, like, you know, a kid will hand you a fake cell phone and you'll answer it and act like there's someone on the other end.
Yeah.
Like that's the softness we're talking about. But what's interesting is guys like that don't have any macho things to prove. Right. So that's not on their radar. It's not like I have to be this, I have to have this persona about me. It's not on the radar at all because that's not what's important, you know? And so that's that's your take you have to have in your marriage. I don't need to show you like, you know, how tough I am. Like, I don't need to do that. My job as a husband, right? That God's called me to lead this family. I need to protect you guys, right? Protecting, you know, whether that's going to work, whether that's a physical protection, emotional protection, whatever it is, like I need to protect you. I need to protect the kids. Like that's part of my role. And I need to lead you guys. And I can't do that effectively if I'm not emotionally there.
Yeah.
Right. It's like that makes you a better husband. That makes you a better father. It makes you a better friend. It makes you better in so many ways. Like there's my close friends, like, yeah, I discuss, you know, beyond surface level things with them that are affecting me, you know, emotionally, but not to everyone, but also not to the extent that I discuss that with you. You have, just like in the physical realm, you have a special place, right? That no one else is going to get to.
Yeah.
And that's what you have, and that's what you should have. And I want you to have that, and then I want to have that from you, but I can't unless I do it.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and I really feel that, you know, as a husband, that's your step you have to take. If you want to have this special place and you want to be that with your wife, like you have to take the step first.
Yeah.
Right. Like you're going to tell me all the emotions. I don't have to pull that out of you. I mean, I don't.
Sometimes you do.
Right. Well, yeah, absolutely. The other day, story time.
Okay.
The other day we were driving to church and you were extraordinarily quiet. And when you're quiet, like I know some other dudes, like if their wife's quiet, they're just like, yeah, whatever. Like, do. No, like to me, that's like there's warning flags like are coming. Like, I mean,
you make it sound like I'm just talking 24 hours a day.
No, you're not constantly talking, but you're not also, you get awkward if there's silence. So like you're gonna feel it.
This is like so many insults all in a row.
No, these are not insults. So when we're driving, like unless you're asleep, you're not just like sitting there not talking to me at all, right? The whole way to church, nothing. And I'm like,
it's so exaggerated.
There's something going on, right? And I'm like, I didn't do anything. Like that's
always like, the best reaction to have. Just like, I have not done anything.
Right? And I'm not even trying to be oblivious. In my head, I'm like, I was not like, there wasn't like, oh no, did she find out? You know, like I don't have anything, right? Like I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on. So we get to church, get out, we start walking to the parking lot, and I was like, hey, are you okay? Yep, I'm fine. All right, cool. I'm like, are you sure? I said that. Are you sure? Yep, I'm
I
fine.
felt pretty confident.
Right? I'm fine. Through church, get out of church, drive back home. I don't even remember if you were talking on the way back. I don't remember now. Get back home. Like, we're here, like, not even 5 minutes. And all of a sudden, like, I'm not fine. And just, wah! And like, well, you don't scream like that. But like, you know, tears, like you're being super emotional about something I had said. And so then I'm like, all right, like, we're going to go, you know, we're going to not duke this out. We're going to talk about this. Yeah. Like, we're going to get through this. But yeah. So yeah, you're not always.
First of all, this wasn't a rat Lisa out episode, first of all. But I do think like there is something to, you know, you mentioned the decision fatigue. Like there is something to the recognition of when we do know something's going on with our spouse. If you want to pursue that intimacy, sometimes that is a necessity of like, hey, you know, like continually going back and having the conversation and not just accepting like, okay, like, I guess we're just going to continue to just be roommates who are just passing in the night and like, okay, well, I don't even want to know what's going on with you, you know? And I think that that's the other side of it too. And for sure, like, you know, in the last couple of weeks, we've definitely gone through some things in our family and, you know, we want to be able to like support each other in that. And when you are vulnerable with me in that and share like how you feel, like, that really helps, you know, helps both of us to feel like we're connected and we're on the same team and we're fighting for the same thing. And I need your like truth in the middle of that kind of stuff, you know, where you can remind me that it's going to be okay and you can see the good and, or even that we can let each other be sad.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that's intimacy, right? Is like, it's not always just about that we're okay all the time. It's that I'm with you even when it's not okay. Yeah. And I'm with you even when things are not going great. And you know, whatever it is, like that's intimacy. Yeah. And that's like how God designed it to be. Because then spiritually we can support each other by praying, by reminding each other of God's promises. Physically we can connect and emotionally we can continually support each other and invest. So challenge for the week, you already mentioned it, but that you take one simple step towards, I would say specifically emotional intimacy in your marriage.
Well, yeah, but I'm not talking about physical intimacy on this one, but yeah, for sure. Emotional intimacy, just take that step to, you know, share more. Even if you're not a very good, you know, sharer, right? If you're not good at this, you know, it could be simple as like just sharing your emotions. Like literally like, you know, at work today, I was a little mad at something, you know, whatever it is, but just like start that and don't be afraid to really tell your wife or your husband how you really feel.
Yeah. We always tell people that something to remember is that you can share something without sharing everything. Yeah. So I think that's a big deterrent to people is like, okay, well, if I tell you it's just been a frustrating day at work and then you want 75 details about why it was a frustrating day at work and not that you shouldn't share more, but there's like a balance that you have to have, you know?
No, it's, you're not lying. So I wanted to make sure.
Like, we're not looking for deception.
And you're not like omitting truth, which is lying still, but you know, people look at, you know, like different. I didn't actually say it, but yeah, you're not omitting truth. You're not doing that. But also there's times where it's like details aren't really a thing that I need to go over. This is what I feel. Yeah,
broad
this
picture.
Is what's going on. So you're not hiding it. You're just like, like, you know.
Yeah, because I've had those feelings sometimes when you're just like, I'm talked out about all of that. Or, you know, even having the emotional capacity to like go over all the details is just like too much. Oh, yeah. So sometimes it's just good to be just like, oh man, I'm sorry. Like, is there something that I can do or say? And it can be like those kind of simple, but not easy conversations that enable some more emotional intimacy.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. We will see you guys next week.